One thing, there's only one of. There isn't. There's not one type of tree. There's not one type of grass.
There's one you.
There's one me, but then it's again. I think you're going a bit different. I think it's too.
One finger then. Your fingerprint is unlike any other finger on this planet.
What's ever been?
Yeah, even been.
I don't think so.
Every fingerprint is different.
What's ever been on this planet?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I can understand maybe you're set, but not one individual finger.
This one, the one that's used on IDs.
But you think that's that?
Yeah.
There's never been another thing like that ever in the existence of the earth.
Yeah.
Since time ago.
Yeah. Because the way it forms, no scientist, no credible academic has come out and said 2 fingerprints could have been the same. And that's why you've got high security facilities in this country, MI6 and all that actually rely on the fingerprint. Yeah. You've got passports that use that as an identity to come into a country and out of a country. And you know how some countries are very security conscious. One finger is enough. So even if there was a little bit, Liam, of leeway saying, you know what, 2 people could be alive at this moment with the same fingerprint.
I've actually had this experience.
Really?
Yeah, I went to Boston. I go to America once a year. I've got family in America. I can't fly direct. So I have to change over to get through customs.
Yeah.
So went through Boston. I went through. My father went through. Put his fingerprint down. Okay. They've gone out of his passport. He's gone to grab his passport. Said, no, wait there. We got taken into a room with all other people. 3 hours later, they called us up and they said, oh, we had a glitch of our machine. They thought you was a convict. My father was a convict. The fingerprint scan. But I'm not saying they was obviously not identical match, but I just think it's
a machine.
There's no way you can put this. Our short amount of time we've been here, I know you're saying that everyone is different. I understand that, but I still think there's been a lot of human beings on this planet. There's no way to say that finger is. There's never been another one like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying, according to your kind of rationality, and you're welcome to do that. I mean, if evidence does arise, it will be interesting.
Oh yeah, no, just obviously that. I do believe obviously that they are obviously all different.
Unique, yeah.
Yeah. But I think maybe is there not been another? There's been so many time has been so long.
But think about it this way, Liam. Why is it that no one in history ever has made that claim before? We've got books, we've got testimony, we've found genetic data and all that. Nobody's ever made the claim that 2 people have the same identical fingerprints. But coming back to the point, so we're saying that, okay, there's an existence, we don't want to say who. However, if this existence created everything and there's power in the universe, then he should be all powerful, obviously, because he's created everything. And there's time, then he's outside time. And even our understanding, Liam, what you have to realize is, just because you create, let's just say you assemble a car, that doesn't mean that you're now part of the car or you're similar to a car. Now imagine if I was to give a crude example of 2 cars conversing with each other. One goes to another one, you never guess who created me. It's like, ooh, he's got arms. It's like, what? Well, they're like wheels and stuff. Nah, their arms are made from flesh. She's like, what the hell is flesh? A rubber. I just go, how does he move then? Nah, he does it in a bipedal way. It's like, by what? What does he eat or drink? What type of petrol? Like, is it leaded or unleaded? And none of that, man. He has burgers. He has carbs. It's like, he has carb. You're making that up. Carbs. He's got the word car in it. Is it one of our lot? Nah, it's not. The only thing that's similar is the name. Carbs. Something totally different. So, all right. I don't believe this. It doesn't make sense. So what was his arms like? What's it made from? Metal. So point that I'm trying to say is, you creating a VCR, you creating a DVD player or iPod or iPad doesn't mean that you have to be the same as the creation. So it's the same, Liam, that when you believe that everything, the way it is, how complex it is, how everything matches and complements each other. When you look at a peacock, when you look at a Bewick swan, when you look at the echolocators, the ultrasound, the echolocators in the back, yeah, the blood pressure control system in the neck of a giraffe, yeah, the homing instincts, that of a pigeon. Yeah, and you look at these things, how is it a pigeon knows to go home? Like, who's put these things in place? And Liam, when you look at, even when a duckling is born and a chick is born, somebody actually did this experiment. He said when a hen laid eggs and a duck laid eggs, I switched some of them around. And I noticed that when the mother duck, yeah, took all of her children and jumped into the pond, all of them jumped in except the chicklet. The chicklet stood on the side and started chirping. Yeah? And then vice versa. Yeah? So the question is, where is this understanding coming from? Yeah, a spider when it's born is able to construct such an elaborate, such an amazingly architecturally sound house. My question again, Liam, is to associate all of this to chance and mere happenings. It's something that we're not being honest with ourselves about. Yes, by all means, we can discuss and we can debate about which religion is the correct religion. But to assume and to promulgate and to come to this conclusion that it all came by itself, by mere chance, but you think it's a bit of a push.
I do and I don't. I like, it's the religion, it's the same question that's been asked since the dawn of time. What are we? How did this happen? No one knows. Everyone has their own beliefs. Like I said before, you can ask all these different people here, they'll all have a different answer. But it's...
let me give you, like, you're wearing, what shoes are you wearing? Nike, yeah? Yeah, nice shoes. I'm wearing Nike as well. Now, when you went to the shop, there were, am I exaggerating when I say 50 types of trainers there?
Yeah.
But out of those 50 trainers, Liam, what you did was, you were like, okay, what goes most with my outfit? What goes well with my style? In other words, what you're doing in that situation, Liam, is you're not being overwhelmed with choice and you're not leaving that shop with your old flappy shoes. You know, sometimes when they get ripped, they start talking, innit? They got holes in it, air conditioning. Same when you go to get a shampoo. Yeah, there's like 20 different types of shampoo. But you never go, nah, forget it. Like, you go there, you read the back, you do your research to see which one makes the most sense. Yeah, there's 5 different types of doctors. All right, but let me see, because this is my health. I have to take time out to see. Now, Liam, if you've got so many people giving an answer, what you should be doing is you should be going to those people and hearing them out and saying, let me compare these now. Let me see which is logically sound. Because if a God has created me, Liam, then the one that makes most sense surely is the truth. Because he's now sent something. Now, again, what makes most sense? We can discuss that. And this is why I would say, Liam, I would say come every week. Have discussions. You could even go online and you can listen. It's on every Sunday. Every Sunday, there's different circles here. Because this, Liam, you said yourself, this is something this has been discussed for millennia. In fact, Justin Barrett, he's done an Oxford study in which he did a study of kids that were uninterrupted or uninterfered with adults, and he noticed that even they incline towards believing in a single creator. Olivera Petrovich, she did a study. She concluded the same thing. And these are studies done by people that are unaffected by social conditions. We are inclined towards believing in a creator, which again makes most sense. If God has sent us here, surely there needs to be some sort of gravitation. We're more gravitated towards believing. Every evidence around you points towards a creator. You look at a phone, creator, tree, seed, someone's planted that seed, these fences, that policeman, that newspaper, that can you're holding in your hand. Everything around you has a designer. But then the question would be,
just a quick part, you said about the seed, about someone planting the seed, but sometimes that can happen naturally.
Of course.
A tree produces another tree, and so on and so on and so on, ever since it's all cut. I know you're saying obviously the trees had to be not created but sort of bred into make another tree, but then it's the same thing. There was a planet was once here and it wasn't here before that, so it's sort of life is trying to take hold of itself as such. You know what I'm trying to say?
I guess so.
Like like say for instance a tree, it's a living thing.
Yeah.
It isn't like someone probably did plant that tree, but not all trees were planted by a person, like a forest.
I agree with you.
Like a forest, they expanded their self. Or like the Amazon jungle. The Amazon jungle weren't always a jungle. It was once a thriving area of land where people lived.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
It was. They proved it. Where they've been deforesting so much of the Amazon, they've been finding ancient settlements and civilizations that was there thousands of years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What, one of the Spanish explorers in the 1500s, they went to the Amazon and they said there was thousands and thousands, millions of people living there at one time. But then the Europeans gave them measles and they all died off.
Yeah.
No immunity to it, they come back and
there's jackets of smallpox, yeah. But the thing with that is, because I've studied plants and flowers as well, Liam, and there's two ways of seed dispersal. In fact, there's multiple ways. There's wind, there's water, birds, and animals. Yeah, these are the four ways of common ways of seed dispersal. But again, two of these are who, and two of these are what. Yeah, the wind and the water are what, and the humans and the animals are who. Yeah, so again, it didn't happen by itself. It happened by something.
Nature.
Yeah, nature, again, it's still something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that comparison of saying it happened by itself.
You can't really call it something. It's more of a...
It's wind, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can't. You can't. It's called. Yeah, nature. Yeah, it's wind is a thing.
Yeah.
Nature is. You can't put nature down to one thing. Nature is a group, a body of
Forces.
forces. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's again my point of what if them number of forces, like fire, for instance, a fire.
Yeah.
You have to have the right conditions to make fire.
Yes.
Right? You need fuel, air, and spark. That's the three main things to make fire. So
Oxygen as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that fuel, air, fire.
Ah, air. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so that's the three things you need: fuel, air, and spark. So what if them three things are not them exact three things, but then sort of other three things make us, the planet, the world, the universe, them conditions of nature, or it's hard to be put into words, but it's like you need the right resources, the right conditions.
Yes.
Something like us, a miracle of life on the planet is born as such, same as like a tree. The seed needs to fall, then it needs to be planted, then it grows. It's like life. You're born, you live, you die.
Yeah.
It's the three things. It's like, that's
You've made a very good point. You said that just for fire to exist, you need three conditions that are happening.
Equally balanced.
Yeah, that they have some sort of presence or balance. Yeah. So that's when it comes to fire. When it comes to human beings, the conditions are more stringent. There's more things that have to be done. Now the thing is, look, if you see maybe one part on the floor, Liam, yeah, you go maybe like a screw or something.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that could have just fallen off the shelf.
Yeah.
But when you see a screw that's been attached to something else, you're like, somebody's actually drilled that in and attached it to that.
Yeah.
Now, the more complicated it becomes, Liam, the more you're like, this is becoming too coincidental now for me to assume that all of these parts were assembled in the correct position for this person or this thing to exist. Do you see?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like...
So I would say that actually proves the argument of design, that when you look at a human being and you look at how intricate a human being is, and how, for example, even look at like your hair on your head, that grows very fast. But have you ever imagined that even your eyelashes, or eyebrows, if they grew at the same rate as your hair, you'd have to go to the barbers and get a trim for your eyelashes as well. So everything.
You're saying about the design, and obviously, like you said about the spider and things like that. And I understand that, but it's again one of the things. No one knows the answer. You can't sit there and say that you know that is the answer.
But what I can say, Liam, is the most probable and logical answer is the Creator. And I would ask you, what would you say is a more logical and credible answer than that?
I'm not an academic in any sort of
You
way.
don't have to be.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. Everyone has their own opinion. I
Yeah.
believe that it's just the conditions, the conditions are right, and we're just. I don't question life too much. I just try and focus about living.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't concern me. I do think about it. I think why are we here? What's the meaning of life? Things like that. But then I think
There's two things.
You shouldn't really waste your life thinking about that. That's the only like. Anyone you can believe what you want to believe. That's got nothing to do with me. With all these other people with. That's not my concern as such. I believe that you can believe or say or whatever, you can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have any concerns, unless it obviously harms or affects other people, then it obviously is a problem.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't. I think everyone should be more worried about living their life to the best they can be.
Let me give you an example, Liam. If you're living your life here, yeah, and you're just going about your business, being a good citizen, not harming people, someone puts a bag on your head and then takes you away and then sticks you on a train somewhere, yeah, and takes it off, and you're given nice food. What's going to be the first question that comes to you?
Why am I here?
You're not going to say, you know what, forget why I'm here, the food is nice, I'm going to enjoy myself, it's tasty, forget about that, it's not important, I need to worry about enjoying myself on this train. And somebody goes, do you know where you're going? It's not important. When are you going to get off? Look, everyone just doing their thing. Let everyone do their thing. Like, I'm not here to. That's fine. But
Do you know what? You've been doing this a long time, haven't you? You adapt quick. You adapt to the situations quick. I know what you're saying.
It's because I'm going to be honest with you, Liam. Like, look at me. I'm a handsome guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. We're both young.
Yeah.
But think about it. This is a Sunday. I work Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
I'm here. Look, I'm not. Am I forcing something upon you? Am I being aggressive?
No. Listen, if you was, I wouldn't be here.
You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, Liam, born in this country, I know about this sort of stuff. I love it here. But the thing is, I'm still here, Liam, spending time discussing this with you. If I wasn't sure about it, I wouldn't be here wasting your time. In fact, I would consider it a disrespect that if you ask me something and I give you a fluffy answer, I'm calling you towards something and I can't answer your question, I would actually say it's disrespectful to you. I'd have to apologize to you. Because I'm telling you that this is what I'm putting forward, and this is very important, and this is something that needs to be looked into. So that's why, Liam, I think out of respect for the person I'm speaking to, I need to read up on this. And I do read up on this stuff because I think it is very important. So that's the example of why we're here. And you raised another good point as well, that these questions are asked and you don't think about it too much. Yeah, here's another one. The thing is, if you look at majority of the people on this planet, Liam, in fact the fastest growing religion is Islam, people with the most adherents are Christianity, the oldest one is Hinduism. The thing, Liam, is, and it's this, that majority of the people do believe in a God. You got people that have this innate disposition, however people are still searching. And you know what? Just looking at too many people believe this or believe that. Look, no one's asking you to force your belief on anybody. What they are asking you is the least, if there is a God and there is a heaven and a hell and you're going to be asked about this, the least Liam should be that you're able to say, you know what, I did look into it, I did hear everybody out, I did use my rationality, and I didn't dismiss it. I worked hard, yes I worked, but I also understood and dialogued with people as well. Do you see? So what I would then say to you, Liam, is this. You're going to have Christians here, you're going to get Jews here, you're going to get people of other faiths. But I'm going to make certain claims, and even when you go home, you don't want to come here, no problem. Or you do want to come here, you want to listen to other people, no problem. You want to speak to somebody else, you want to buy a book, you do that. But I'm going to make a few claims now, Liam. That makes Islam different and unique compared to all other religions. And you're welcome to challenge me whenever you want, with whatever you want. First thing is this. If something comes from God, Liam, and it's a revelation, surely that revelation, if there's a book with words of God, surely it should be free from human interference. You can't just dip in there, change stuff, move stuff about, and then people are saying, you know what, it's been changed, but let's go with the message. No. The book has to be preserved because it's from God. And you telling...
Did God write the book?
No, God, it's the word of God, and then it was compiled into a book. So that's going to be one of my arguments.
By people. But how do you know that? How do you know for certain there isn't corruption in it? I'm not saying there is.
No, of course.
But I'm saying, like, how do you know there isn't?
Yeah.
There is, like I said, it's been compiled on how many thousands of people have put their contribution into the book.
100%.
Exactly. So it's more of...
You're right, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's exactly, but it's like...
But let me answer that, because the Quran's different. I'm going to tell you how. The Old Testament, when it was revealed, Liam, it had to be copied down. Now, I don't know if you remember, how old are you? 25. You're a bit younger than me. When I was at school, we'd write our essay out, and then we'd have to copy out again. For display purposes. You know, when it goes on display and that. So when we do it on display, what happens is sometimes, Liam, when I would copy stuff down, if two sentences ended with the same word, my eye would automatically skip a line. Or if there's like 2-3 words that are similar in like 3-4 lines, you miss certain chunks out. Now, Bart Ehrman calls this technique parablepsis, or homoiteliotan, which just means that you're missing chunks out. That applies, Liam, to the Old Testament and the New Testament. Why? Because they were, like you've articulated, it was written down. Now, the Quran was different, because the Quran, when it was revealed by speech, and it was memorized. So primarily, whilst the other books, they were written and they were paper-based, the Quran, on the other hand, was memorized. And because the Quran was memorized, that's how it was passed on. Now, within the life of the Prophet, it was also written down, but the primary way of preserving it was a memory. Now, if you don't believe me, Liam, you can Google this, YouTube this. There are children as young as 3 and 4 that have memorized the entire Quran. It's crazy. In fact, this was discovered last year. A little kid, 3-4 years old, he memorized the whole book. But generally speaking, children normally memorize by the age of 7-8. That's like the average age. But you can learn it. In fact, I'll put another challenge out there, and I will say there is no other book, and I've got like 4 cameras here, and like you said, I'm well read as well. So there's no other religion that can make this claim that their book has been mass memorized. Every other book has been written, has been copied, and is another bold claim I'm going to make. When you go to a Christian, ask them, how many books are there in the Protestant Bible? They're going to tell you 66. You ask them, what about the Roman Catholic? 71, 2 or 3. And then the Ethiopian Orthodox, 80 something. Hang on a minute. This is from God. So it depends what sort of Christian you are, and you've got entire books that are extra in those books. I'm sorry, but this isn't convincing to me as an agnostic that's looking into religion. Because you've got entire, like there's one in which there's 7-8 books missing. Now you're telling me this is from God. Why can't he preserve this? Now you say, okay, what about you? I'll tell you. There's certain sects within Islam. Sunni, Shia, this, that. Liam, all of them. They'll believe that there'll be dispute about other things. When it comes to the Quran, every single Muslim believes in the same Quran. And there are manuscripts. And I'm moving on to the next claim now. Jesus can't claim this. Moses can't claim this. Socrates can't claim this. Islam is the only religion that can track the Quran, the manuscripts of the Quran, to the person that claims it was revealed to. There's no manuscript that we have today on this planet that is traced to the time of Jesus, that's traced to the time of Moses, but we do have, in fact, it's not in some Arab country. It's in this country, Liam. Birmingham University has one of the oldest manuscripts of the Quran. Birmingham, and it was discovered 4 or 5 years ago. The other old ones are, there's one manuscript called the Topkapi. Yeah, this is in Turkey, and there's others. Some are in Samarkand in Uzbekistan. Yeah, or one of these stans, like one of these old Soviet places. So this is the third claim. We have manuscripts, Liam, that are tracing back to that time. But when it comes to Jesus and Moses, you don't have people. Now listen to me carefully. You don't have people of independent other religions that can verify their existence. Now obviously as a Muslim we accept Moses existed, Jesus existed because it's in the Quran. However, if you're going for manuscripts that can be dated and carbon dated, you know, for you to tell, carbon date, exactly. It can only be done for the Prophet. There are 3 sources. If you want, I can tell you exactly the names of those sources as well, but they sound a bit funny. Yeah? You want me to tell you the name of the 3 independent non-Muslim sources that verify that the Prophet existed in the 7th century? Alright. The first one is the Nestorian Chronicle. The second one is the more famous one. It's called the Doctrina Jacobi Nuper Baptizati. You can see it was a mission to memorize. And the third one, the third one's the tricky one. Bishop Sabius of the House of Bagratunis. So these are 3 independent sources that are dated to the 7th century that talk of a Saracen leader. Saracens is what they call the Muslims at that time, who claims to have the keys of paradise. Yeah? And we have archaeological evidence, manuscripts that trace back to the people who succeeded the Prophet in terms of Khilafat. Like you've got Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. In terms of the people that led the Muslims thereafter the Prophet. You have them. Yeah? You have evidences, you have coins that can be, traced back to the time. In fact, today I've ordered a book. It's by Anthony Shawn. He's written a book in which the first chapter is just about evidence proving that the Prophet existed from non-Muslim sources, be it coins, be it epigraphies. I think I'm pronouncing it properly. Epigraphy is like, you know, when there's marking on stones, like writings and stuff like that. So you've got, but I was speaking to a brother as well. I was saying, and you can verify everything I'm saying. It's recorded. It's going to be on YouTube when you go home probably as well. Yeah, so you can watch it back. Jesus spoke Aramaic. The New Testament's written in Greek. We're reading in English. Aramaic, Greek, English. Okay, what about you, Muslim? What are you saying, mate? Alright, I'm saying the Prophet spoke Arabic. The Quran's in Arabic. We read it in Arabic. Yeah, we read the translation, but we read it in Arabic primarily. Alright, cool. Translation, what about translation? Yeah, just Arabic to English, but Aramaic is not. Have you heard anybody saying, yeah, man's learning French, Spanish, man's doing a bit of Aramaic on the side? You heard anyone say that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But Jesus spoke Aramaic and Hebrew. So the thing is, Arabic is one of the top 5 languages. It's a live language. So surely if a language is being claimed that the final testament is written, then show me the language. Okay, you got the Middle East that's speaking that language. It's a live language. You can do it. Let's study in SOAS universities here, Birmingham University. You can study even in A-levels if you want to study it, no problem. Who's studying Aramaic? Who's studying Hebrew? It's not. Even Hebrew, the Old Testament is written in Hebrew. Okay, no problem. Okay, fair enough. So the Quran, you're saying, is revealed by the Prophet, is revealed by God, and then at the time of the Prophet it was compiled. Alright. Isn't the same for Bible? No Christian makes that claim. In fact, the Bible, if you pick up any Bible, book of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, the 4 books, the 4 Gospels. Who are these people? Yeah, they came, Liam, they came decades decades afterwards.
Yeah, I think it was like saying like 600 or something like that, or 1400 years later or something.
You know, I'm not. My memory is not the best. Yeah. And you know what I do? I have to make notes and constantly go over it. You know, when exam time comes for me, if I haven't looked over my notes for 4 or 5 months, it's gone.
So what do you do?
I'm a primary school teacher.
Whereabouts?
In Croydon. So what I do, Liam, is I have to go over my notes. Yeah, I have to study them before an exam. Like I want to take this course on Cambridge, University of Cambridge, on political philosophy and science. Yeah, I want to take that. So I've got in, alhamdulillah, all praise be to God, and I want to start that. But the thing is, Liam, I have to make notes. In 1 year, if you ask me something, and if I haven't gone over my notes, I've forgotten it. But here are people that came decades after Jesus, and they're claiming they remember everything. All right, who? Okay, who's this Mark? Who's this Matthew? What's the surnames? There's so many Matthew and Marks. How do you know which one's the right one? And manuscripts. The manuscript that we have of the earliest one is of Mark. And that came about 40 to 60 years after the death of Christ. That's the manuscript that we have. After. We can't track anything to the time of Christ. In fact, there's a book by Bar Ehrman. You can check it back, these names, and you can check if I was waffling or not. Bar Ehrman, called A Misquote in Jesus. Yeah? And in there, he makes these claims. Yeah, he mentions these things, that these these Gospels were written decades afterwards. But in the Quran, we make no such claim. No such claim. So you yourself, Liam, as a rational person, you say, okay, so you've proved the preservation. What about the sayings of the Prophet? I can prove to you, we have a science that preserves. That's Bob, by the way.
Yeah?
That's Bob.
Oh, yeah, no.
Salam.
I guess he will start to shout. Maybe if you want help, I will try to move the stuff with you.
Jazakallah.
Anyway, your video about respond to that guy, it was fantastic video.
Jazakallah. I've got a YouTube channel called Smile2Jannah. Jannah means paradise. So in case you want to go home and check who's this guy you're speaking to for an hour, me, you can just type in Smile2Jannah and it'll come up.
You just talking, is it?
Sorry?
Is it you talking?
No,
else?
it's ironic, but I actually use comedy to talk about social and political affairs, religious and stuff, and I use comedy. So anything that's happened in the media, I'll try to use bants and talk about it and cover it, stuff that's not mentioned. So yeah, you're more than welcome to check it out. But the other thing is this, that we have means of preserving even the sayings of the Prophet. Whilst no other religion makes this claim that they have sayings of Jesus, sayings of Moses, sayings of Buddha, or sayings of Guru Nanak of the Sikh faith, has been preserved with a chain of narration. We make the claim. And we're the ones that say we can test using testimony and using hadith, using the science of criticizing hadith chains, the sayings of the Prophet, in other words, yeah, the chains of narration. Yeah, we're making this claim. And my final thing is this: prophecies. How do you know that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was the correct prophet? Look at the prophecies. Now, for you, naturally, the pushback should be, what about Jesus? I would say there are certain prophecies that Jesus has made, even the Christians say it's not true, it's false. Yeah? We will not say that for any prophecy that Muhammad made. In fact, you can go home, there's a book called Forbidden Prophecies by Abu Zakaria. You can search it up, and it mentions main prophecies of the Prophet. They came true, and they are coming true. And I'll give you some examples also. Have you heard of Nostradamus? The one, you know, who said 2012 is the last year and movie came out and stuff. He made prophecies. Many came fake. Yeah, many came, they were rebutted. Yeah, they did come true. So you got Nostradamus, you got the Mayans. Are you familiar with the Mayans? Yeah. They made many prophecies. Joseph Smith, Mormonism, the founder of Mormonism and the likes. So Liam, what we noticed here, if you look at their prophecies, they were, number one, very vague, and number two, you could rationally make out logically that they would come true. However, the Prophet's prophecies, if you look, they were they didn't rationally make sense. I'll give you an example. At that time, he made one prophecy. Yeah, he said that the bare-footed, unclothed herdsmen will compete with each other to make the tallest buildings. You go, all right, who are the barefooted, unclothed Bedouins? What companion asked the Prophet? He goes, he goes, who are these people? He goes, the Bedouins. Yeah, the nomads of the desert.
Yeah, you ever seen Lawrence Arabia?
Yeah, exactly. So then you're like, but that's, how are you gonna, how these poor, uneducated people gonna compete with the
clothes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now, if you look I think, if you look at the first building that's well known to us, it was the Makkah Clock Tower. Yeah, the Makkah Clock Tower, it stands at 600 meters. Then 2 years later, I'm sure you're familiar at this moment in time, it's the Burj Khalifa, standing at 800 meters. That's in Dubai. The first one in Saudi, second one in Dubai. Again, we're still in the desert. Now, the country that said we're gonna build a tower that is 1,000 meters, Saudi Arabia again, and they're calling it the Kingdom Tower.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's like a weird looking thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like arrowhead.
Exactly. So, again, this prophecy at that time, the two main empires were the Romans and the Persians. They're the ones that were the most technologically advanced. Logically, he could have said, to be on the safe side, could have said, yeah, one of those will. Or there were two types of Arabs, the Bedouins and the rich ones. He could have just said the rich ones. He deliberately went for the poor ones. That was one of the things. The other things that he prophesied was the turning of green of deserts. Yeah, and you see that in Dubai. Literally, it's become an oasis. It's become a civilization. In fact, it's become the hub that even the Western people go there as well. And like that, the point that I'm trying to say, Liam, is prophecies is a way of you looking at, okay, you got Mormonism, you got Judaism, you got Christianity, and you got Islam. Let's analyze the prophecies. Yeah, let's analyze the preservation of their books. Let's analyze the claims that they're making. And finally, Liam, let's look at how they are actually doing. Which religion talks about having a closer connection with God? Which religion is constantly being discussed in the media? Which religion is staying true to itself and logically makes sense? These questions, Liam, and these statements are what will make Islam stand out from the other religions. And this, and the thing, Liam, is this. You have to realize that some people, they stay in the religion that they're born with, even if they're told certain things. Like you can tell and ask a Christian about these things, and without feeding you anything, then a couple of weeks down the line, come and see me and tell me the responses that the Christians have given you. And if you're convinced or not, you might come to me and say, Zeeshan, I'm convinced. All right, Liam, brilliant. Let's have another discussion.
Yeah, I definitely won't be convinced.
You know what I'm saying?
I know for a fact. I may believe there was probably a person who was Jesus, like you're saying, that you even believe it yourself. There probably was. Like Harry was the son of God. I've never read the Bible. I mean, we obviously I went to like a Christian upbringing, primary school and such, sing Christian hymns and things like that. But it's not. Ever since I was a kid, I knew that there was no sort of truth behind it. It's too much of like a, not a story as such, but it's not.
There's a lot going on in other words.
Yeah, I mean it's very short, but the teachings they say it doesn't.
Here's one other thing I'm going to do now that proves my not feeding you anything and not pushing my own agenda. Here's what I want you to do today when you go home, Liam. Today when you go home, you live by yourself. When you go home, before you shut the light or when you're about to go to bed, shut the lights. Raise your hand in a way that you know is fitting. You raise your hand or you pray however, and you don't use any name, any title. Say, God, if you're there, whoever you are, wherever you are, guide me. You're not calling towards a religion. You're not calling towards a person or a being. I'm not saying you have to go through me. I'm not saying you have to go through Muhammad. I'm not, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, or anybody else. I'm saying you alone, with no feeding from me, you converse with your Lord. Because if he's there, Liam, if he's there, and you're genuine and you're saying, you know what, God, I want to prove to you that I was sincere today because I went there for the first time and I stood with my man for over an hour. If that doesn't show my sincerity, I don't know what does. I was respectful. Yes, I pushed back because he's making claims, but you know what? It didn't make sense. So God, if you're there, like allow it, innit? Like guide me. Like don't let me go astray. If you're there, if not, then I'll live my life. That's all I'm saying, Leah. I'm not saying for you to watch anything, speak to anybody, do. And then I'm just saying, pray to the one God. Everybody here, Liam, believes in some sort of God. So what you're doing is that's what you're doing. You're praying to that God, and you're saying, if you're genuine, then I want you to guide me to the right method to seek the answer. That's all I'm saying, Liam. I can give you literature and everything, but this is the only homework I want from you. And I'm so sure that I'm saying that you will get certain signs in your life if you're genuine. If you move that bias to the side, you're not, friends, sometimes you don't need to say anything to anybody, you just pray yourself. And prayer is that Wi-Fi that the signal never gets weak. It goes and hits the Lord straight away. In fact, Liam, we believe as Muslims that even if a non-Muslim, if let's just say I oppress you, but you don't believe in God, and you make a prayer against me, that prayer will still be heard by God and I'll still be punished for it. Sorry.
You're right.
So what I'm trying to say is prayer is something that we believe that even non-Muslims can do. Yeah, that even non-Muslims, that we have this connection with God called the Dawah, the prayer, that it works even with somebody that doesn't believe in God. So we believe that, look, we can't be oppressing non-Muslims like that, because if he prays against me, I'm finished. You know what I'm saying? So the prayer is what I'm saying is something, even when you're going home, just in your head, you don't even need to proclaim it on your mouth. Yeah, just speak. Say, God, you know what, it does make sense. Like when you look, bro, just look at the way the sun is hitting us, the way the light is hitting the grass, the way that tree is able to kind of, spread out, and the way human beings are able to communicate language. What's the difference between us and animals? We have language. We question purpose. We cook food. We think deep issues. We question purpose. Yeah, there's so many things that make us unique, and it's these sorts of things, Liam, that I want you to ponder upon, and you use that when you're communicating with God, and then let me know.
You know what, just sitting there now, Joe, you are a good speaker. But yeah, no, I'll definitely be back. You'll probably end up seeing me again up here.
Brilliant. I'll be here as well. Yeah. Worst case scenario, if something does happen on Instagram, my page is called Smile and then the number 2 and then Jannah. Jannah means paradise.
Yeah.
Jannah, Jannah. Yeah. So Smile2Jannah. Search me up, or worst case scenario, if something happens, just DM me on Insta, and then we can meet up for a coffee or something. You say, look, I watched the thing that you uploaded, and I had a few questions. Let's explore. I want to look more into this. I'll be more glad. Just before you, I was speaking to a brother called Wayne. Shane. And we're having similar discussions. And that's why we're here.
It's like food for thought as such. You know what I mean? Of course. What do you think I'm going to be thinking about? I've got to ride back to East London in a little while, like East Ham. So it's going to be. If you don't, once you see something, you're always going to think about it as such. You know what I mean? So
yes.
I mean, listen, it's good to hear your side of things and speak to someone who's educated like yourself.
Glad to hear it.
Just gives you gives you more sort of stuff to think about. As such, you know what I mean? It's like the sort of points you made about the Quran and things like that. I'm not saying I'll change. I won't be religious in any way, but it's a good side to view something as such, you know, like to hear your beliefs, facts, and things like that, and then not just sort of apply it to a different way of thinking as such, you know what I mean? Not just think as the way I think, just sort of see it how you see it. You know?
Thank you for your time and patience as well, and your questions.
No problem. But it's mad. I'll definitely be up here again.
Excellent.
Hopefully I don't get collared for another hour, but I've got to ride back yet. But yeah, no, it's good talking to you anyway.
Likewise.
Yeah?
Have a safe journey.
What was your name?
My name is Zeeshan.
Zeeshan. Yeah.
Zeeshan, and the channel is Smile2Jannah.
That's it. No worries. Well, thank you.
Look after yourself.
Brothers and sisters, Allahu Akbar. Thanks to your tremendous support, we have, Alhamdulillah, paid the final installment for this huge masjid property, and now we need your support to convert this 2,700 square meters building into the most amazing Islamic center in the country of Norway, inshallah.
But bro, this does not look like a masjid. It looks like a wedding hall.
And that's exactly what this is. Brothers and sisters, we need your support to reconstruct this wedding hall into a masjid and community center, so we can have our prayer hall for us to establish salah 5 times a day, an indoor playground for the kids to nurture love for the house of Allah, a conference hall for lectures and reminders about Islam.
We need classrooms for education, a library to study, a gym for exercise, and a soup kitchen to help the poor and needy.
If you support us, even with a small sadaqah, you will inshallah harvest a reward for all of these facilities and the khair that they generate throughout the years, all the way until the day we meet Allah.
The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever builds a masjid for the sake of Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. So what are you waiting for? Click the button to donate and share the video for extra rewards.